I just recently taken ayahuasca.
Okay, well, why don't you spill the beans?
It was a truly incredible.
Don't turn the tables on you.
Wow.
I mean, you're in the jungle.
An extremely high dose.
Just don't go hugging an anaconda or something, you know.
You haven't lived unless you made love to an anaconda. I'm sorry. But
snakes and ladders.
It's like all this stuff's going on. Now we got all this current coming out. Remember, they know this stuff already. As Neva was saying, this was the Chutes and ladders game now. It used to be snakes and arrows. Now it's Chutes and ladders. These ancient knowledge, enealogy, Joydish numerology, all this is ancient knowledge about the process, because the order was the most important thing to our ancestors, as I said over and over and over again. Not just the gods themselves, but the order in which they came, because they answer many mysteries. The day before yesterday, when I was listening to the breakdown of Leela again, which is the game of life, this is a way for those that are just coming in and don't really know anything about these terms. This was a game that was put together that was originally the game Snakes and Arrows. So the game, or Chutes and Ladders, excuse me, Chutes and Ladders was the original game, and it was based on real events that take place in life that lift you up and pull you down, and how you should learn how to experience all things, because then you will come into an awareness that it was a game for you to have fun in.
Yeah, it was. I took extremely high dose of 9 cups, and
damn. Okay, that sounds like a lot. Of course, is normal just 1 cup or
1 or 2? Well, usually 1. Yeah.
You went. Wait, like right off the bat, or did you work your way up to it?
So I
you just jumped in at the deep end
across 2 days, because in the first day I took 2, and it was a ride, but it wasn't quite like
it wasn't like a revelation.
It wasn't into deep space type of ride. It was just like a little airplane ride. I saw some trees and some visuals and all that. I just saw a dragon and all that kind of stuff. But
at 9 cups, you went to Pluto, I think.
Pluto, yeah, no, deep space.
Deep space.
No, one of the interesting aspects of my experience is I thought I would have some demons, some stuff to work through.
That's what people.
That's what everyone says.
No one ever says. Yeah, exactly.
I had nothing. I had all positive. I had just full.
A pure soul.
I don't think so. I don't know. But I kept thinking about it. Had like extremely high resolution. Thoughts about the people I know in my life. You were there. It was it's just. Not from my relationship with that person, but just as the person themselves, I had just this deep gratitude of who they are. And then also a lot of space travel.
Space travel to where?
So here's what it was. It was people, the human beings that I know, they had this kind of, the best way to can describe it is they had a glow to them. And then I kept flying out from them to see Earth, to see our solar system, to see our galaxy. And I saw that light, that glow all across the universe. Like that whatever that form is.
All right.
Whatever that,
did you go past the Milky Way?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like intergalactic.
Yeah, intergalactic.
Okay, dang.
Yeah. But always pointing in. Yeah. Past the Milky Way, I saw like a huge number of galaxies, intergalactic, and all of it was glowing. So, but I couldn't control that travel, because I would actually explore near distances to the solar system, see if there's aliens or any of that kind of stuff. No, I didn't know.
Zero aliens?
Implication of aliens, because they were glowing. They were glowing in the same way that humans were glowing. That like life force that I was seeing, the thing that made humans amazing was there throughout the universe. Like there was these glowing dots. So I don't know. It made me feel like there's life. No, not life, but something, whatever makes humans amazing all throughout the universe.
Sounds good.
I had so many luxuries, so much light. That's what luxury is, right? Lux is light. So much lux that you just not even in tune with what's in the ground, what's on the ground. What was the original component in the first place, Lux? This is also why when you look at this system is about how you're seeing all lights. You're going into the higher realms, into the higher spaces, But make no mistake, you would need to be able to ground this, which is what happens with most people. They can't ground this. So it doesn't really come, they can't generally come back with something that's going to assist everyone in some way, shape, or form. They just got really high. And then they come back, and then they're back, hey, what's up, man? Well, yo, what's up, bro? When we go trip again? And it's like, whoa, what do we gain from all of that, right?
There were dragons, and they're pretty awesome. So the thing about trees...
Was there anything scary at all?
Dragons? But they weren't scary. They were They were protective. So the thing
is... the magic dragon.
No, it was more like Game of Thrones kind of dragons. They weren't very friendly. They were very big. So the thing is about giant trees at night, which is where I was.
I mean, the jungle's kind of
scary.
Yeah.
The trees started to look like dragons. And they were all like looking at me.
Sure. Okay.
And it didn't seem scary. They seemed like they were protecting me.
Anybody who goes through the dark night of the soul or goes through a major spiritual enlightenment, they encounter this being on sometimes a real level, like a real vivid level. And then that's when you stand face to face, like I saw Santos do so eloquently, Santos Bonacci on the stairs of the courthouse. You stand in the face of the dragon and tell it what it's about to do. You don't cower away from it or bow down to it or try to worship it, all these different things. You tell it because it's fire. And this is what I was telling people. If you can't realize that chi and kundalini is fire, if you've ever had it, you'll see how it heats up your body and heats up other things. Then you can't connect that to, if you can't connect that to the dragon and the dangers of the dragon and the whole mythology of the dragon, then you can't see the forest for the trees, meaning that there is a stage of our involution, I'll give it that term, where we encounter our primordial state, i.e. the dragon, the dinosaur, the big vessels that were holding all of the souls when they first got here off that organic ship. And so that confrontation with the fear of what occurred in those times, in those timelines of our minds, will be encountered, but we would do it together. Because I noticed this one thing when I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was with the boys and the girls that I grew up with, the group, when we went out, we were adventurers because we weren't afraid, because we knew we were going to face it together.
This guy named Paul Rosalie, who basically is Tarzan, he lives in the jungle. We went out deep and we just went crazy.
Wow,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, can I get that same experience in Neuralink?
Probably, yeah.
I guess that is the question for non-disabled people. Do you think that there's a lot in our perception, in our experience of the world that could be explored, that could be played with using Neuralink?
Yeah, I mean, Neuralink it's really a generalized input-output device. It's reading electrical signals and generating electrical signals. And I mean, everything that you've ever experienced in your whole life, smell, emotions, all of those are electrical signals. So it's kind of weird to think that your entire life experience is distilled down to electrical signals from neurons, but that is in fact the case.
How do you create vision through death? And I'm going to show you how that's measured light after life. And this is my friend, Dr. Karatkov. It's called Die Seele, the soul in German. And this is measurement of how many hours it takes the aura to leave the body if you use cadavers and GDV for fingertip curlium, now called BioWell. And D, we conclude that Tibetans are right. 10 and 36 hours is when your aura leaves the body. And this is what your ghost looks like. Now, if you want to get into that distribution of vision through death, what is the physics? Well, so there is strong evidence that the fractal conjugate electric field causes vision is the same as the fractal conjugate little electric black hole, which allows memory through death. Let's start with the data. Ray Moody, I love him. He's a hero. I lecture with him in Italy all the time. Lightafterlife.com. He's wonderful. So he has abundant data. Medical surgeons, many of them have documented clinically for sure that if the death is relatively peaceful, the visions seen at death will be electrically contagious.
Because you have to say, like, how many neurons can you put in there and trigger, and you can do things where you adjust the electric field. So, like, even if you've got, say, 10,000 neurons, it's not just 10,000 pixels, because you can adjust the the field between the neurons and do them in patterns in order to get, have say 10,000 electrodes effectively give you, I don't know, maybe like having a megapixel or a 10 megapixel situation. And then over time, I think you get to higher resolution than human eyes, and you could also see in different wavelengths. So like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek, had like the thing. You could just, do you want to see in radar? No problem. You can see ultraviolet, infrared, eagle vision, whatever you want.
That means medical doctors standing over, somebody's dying, and suddenly they're all seeing the same thing. Vision. We're here to study the electric field that causes vision. Oh, we just happen to have tripped over the electric field that causes successful death. That is not an oxymoron. So why are the visions seen at death electrocontagious? We know the Hopi, the sacred tribes, the ancient, all put their sacred burial grounds and their pyramids and their Agni Hills
and their labyrinths and their cathedrals and their druid phone calls and their aboriginal songlines and dream tracks,
all at Earth grid magnetic line cross points, the dodecaecos Earth grid, where you embed longitudinal. So you get embedded in the longitudinal, you get in the charge distribution efficiency called not only action at a distance, but collective unconscious, communion of saints, ancestral memory, lucid dreaming, remote viewing. All of these things are enabled by embedding longitudinal, meaning sunrise, sunset, magnetic cross points, get the four directions lined up. You phase conjugate, and you enable DNA radio to happen. So if you want your burial ground, your ancestral burial ground to work, if you happen to be a good electrical engineer that knows how to design ancestral burial grounds, me, for example, you need to embed these longitudinal magnetic cross points. And remember, when Dr. Karatkoff, we're referring to that here, he followed the Kogi to where they made phone calls to ancestors. He measured the fractality of the air, because they needed visions of ancestors, vision of ancestors. And sure enough, the air was fractal, that is charge distribution permissive, meaning phase conjugate longitudinal. This means that your average hospital right here, I went into this hospital in Perpignan, and I have never, ever so immediately felt nausea caused by a building than in this hospital. I had synthetic everywhere, dead air, lots of electrosmog, the wrong frequencies everywhere, preventing vision. So this hospital is where they send people to die, and actually it is literally the definition of hell. There is no better definition of hell, right there, preventing charge distribution efficiency. Charge distribution efficiency is called He Ave, heaven. Oh, I mean plains of Charon. I mean phase conjugate dielectric electron shells of gold powder. No, I mean, so if you want to go to heaven, you need to understand how to design a place for birth and death. And so here is a picture of biologic architecture. Remember, biologic architecture creates vision. Now we know why, because there's a frequency signature to vision. And we have the best curriculum for biologic architecture on the planet, goldenmean.info/architecture. It starts with fractality and African architecture, which is well known. And so there we talk about 3 different ways to measure charge fractality in air. It's very simple. You need to decide if your architect should get a paycheck. Pretty easy, right? You go into the building and you measure the charge in the building to determine if that would cause a seed to grow, and therefore allow a child to have vision. This is here's air in a poisonous space, a square metal building. The air is not fractal and charge distribution is prevented. That can be measured with Kirlian, GTV, or our power spectra technology for measuring life force in space, which is all part of flameinmind.com. Here's the same measurement, except in a sacred stone circle or a circle of trees. And look at charge distribution is enabled. So 3 different ways. And then there's the electric field ability to make life. So here's plants, a seed caused to grow. Here's a flower caused to stabilize. This is how you make life force with that frequency recipe, the same one that causes vision. And these are examples of the measurements of life force in sacred space available from flameinmind.com. We spectrum analyze a microvolt, and we can tell what building or tree is going to be alive or dead. In the background here, you'll see the blue, which is the frequencies that should be there because they're Schumann, and here's the white. Those are the frequencies that are there. And so that's how we analyze this. And this slide we showed you already. So then just to finish this thought here. So here is Heinrich Kluwe on the right, and he's interviewed hundreds of people who have just died. LSD experiences, but mostly near-death experiences, NDE. And he said, what did you see? They said they saw a lattice, a cobweb, then a tunnel, then a spiral, and then it started over. So there's a geometric map to successful dying. And actually, recently, a friend of mine, I'm honoring Dan Schreiber here, died, and he came back through his lucid dreaming partner and confirmed that not only was this correct, but that he heard the audio heterodyne hum, sound, buzz that went with this, and we know why. So not only is there a vision of death, but there's a sound of death, and we know why. Because the successful black hole required is phase conjugate fractal charge implosion. So, and we credit the artwork here from the famous. And so this is the lattice cobweb tunnel spiral, and now we know why, because you're seeing the braiding algorithms of DNA, the sequence of visions of lattice. You take a cube, you tilt it up, and you make a dodecahedron. So you go from lattice to cobweb, which dodec as a center. And then you take that dodeca down a helix, and that makes a tunnel. And then this helix comes to a point, which is DNA. And then it comes to a point, and then you have a spiral. And then you do it over and over and over. And all you're doing each time is adding a superposed axis of charge spin symmetry, the only possible definition of going to the next dimension. And so basically all death is doing is creating a black hole. It's very simple. So to die successfully, you must create a successful electric black hole. And that enables you to create a charged space, rearrange the biological materials, be pant and fractal, and make a magnetic map, to make a building that will enable successful death and vision. Thank you very much. I'm Dan Winter.